Hello.
Hi there.
And welcome to one of we're not going to call this a horror review, but we're going to call this a movie review.
Is it a horror movie?
Kinda. It is. It's a horror movie.
It's a horror movie.
Alright, welcome to our horror review. I'm Randy.
And I'm Steve.
And welcome. This is Humane.
Mm-hmm.
This is directed by Caitlin Cronenberg.
Her directorial debut.
Yes.
Daughter of David Cronenberg and sister of Brandon Cronenberg.
Yes.
Who, her dad did The Fly, her brother did Infinity Pool.
Yes.
And I like both movies.
I like both of those movies.
But usually David and Brandon's movies are weird and strange.
Yeah, and I have a love-hate relationship with them.
Yeah, I agree. Their movies can be sometimes too weird and too abstract and not connected enough for me. Like, I can't connect. This is only her first movie, so who's to say what her style is going to be like going forward, if it's going to be consistent or it's going to kind of, be variedied.
Yeah.
But as her first movie, considering what her brother and father are famous for, this is not what I expected to have a Cronenberg for a movie, and actually it was quite interesting.
Yes.
It was less bizarre than I expected it to be, considering what, like, if you've watched a lot of David Brandon Cronenberg movies, you know what to expect. This was not like most of the movies they've done. Granted, who's to say what she's going to do later on, but that's like my first impression of this movie was like, what, this is not what I was expecting it to be at all.
Now this movie does take a turn and says, "What the fuck?"
It does, just not, but like not like a Cronenberg movie would.
But the ending is weak.
The ending is weak, but this is, I can't stress enough, like, at least I think, like, for a first movie to be done by a director, not all first movies by directors got, like, not all movies by directors were lucky on their first rodeo. So this was actually pretty decent for a first movie that she did.
Yes, and it's got a pretty good cast.
It does.
Peter Gallagher, from House on Haunted Hill.
Yeah.
You have Emily Hampshire from Schitt's Creek, and you have Jay Baruchel, from several comedy movies with Seth Rogen.
Yeah.
But it's about this. This could happen. You never know. It's set in the future
the scariest thing about this movie is that it actually seems like something could actually happen. It's a very dark premise.
Yes, it's where we run out of resources. Like, the UV from the sun is too powerful, and we have to wear like certain UV sunglasses and hats, and there's a water shortage. And
there's overpopulation. Like severe overpopulation.
So each country
to the point where
has to donate 20% of their humans of their population.
Yeah, humans.
Humans to be euthanized to control this problem. And you have to volunteer. Well, now there's not becoming enough volunteers, so the government is going to start enlisting people like the draft to be euthanized. So the premise of this movie is two parents, Peter Gallagher and his wife, invite all their children over.
His second wife, I think.
Yes, his second wife.
Because the kids were with a different wife.
Yeah. They invite all their kids over for a family dinner.
Yeah. Where
they announce that they're joining the euthanization program.
Yes, and they're both very influential people.
Yes.
They're both, I think, aren't they both reporters of sorts? Or
one's a reporter, one's a chef.
Yes, one's a chef and one's a reporter. Yeah, the wife's, I think, a chef and he's a reporter. Yeah. And they both are very well known. And
their son is works for the government, so he's on television all the time. And Emily Hampshire is a famous lawyer who's a crooked lawyer apparently. So and then you have one son that is an ex-drug addict. Which there's some kind of backstory with him where he got into some accident and killed someone.
Yeah.
And then there's the other daughter who's just there. I don't really... remember her backstory.
She doesn't really have a lot, no.
Yeah.
There's a lot of characters. I mean,
but there's a lot of characters.
Well, not like okay, like there's a lot of movies with a lot of side characters, a lot of like background characters, but there's a lot of like main focus characters. If that makes sense.
And there's Bob.
A lot of family characters. Yes, the guy.
Bob the Exterminator.
Yes, Bob the Exterminator, who is the
villain of this movie.
He is the one who is sent to euthanize.
So they come to pick your bodies up, basically,
well, yes.
and euthanize
so,
you.
like we said, the two parents, well, the dad and then his new wife, their parents, they sign up to basically enlist in being euthanized to send a message out to make a good message and also to help so that way their children hopefully will not have to, because they've said that they're mostly going to take one from each family or two from each family, and they figured this way they would send a message since they're both influential and also cut the risk of their own children being euthanized as well. However, the children are grateful. They had this big lunch, but then all of a sudden, you find the next day they come back and they're already like, "Oh, well, we've decided that it's supposed to be today," and they didn't tell our kids, and some of them flip out, and the guy comes in. He's like, "Oh," and then he's like, "Well, my wife's not." The guy's like, "My wife's not here."
Long story short, the wife ends up leaving.
Yes,
she disappears.
So
they come to collect two bodies.
Yes, and so now that there's two bodies, they have to. They sign up to kill the dad.
So they have Peter Gallagher's body.
They take
him.
There's this whole long scene where they kind of like run about the boat and do all the stuff, and there's contracts, and he doesn't sign it. He does sign it. Basically, he ends up getting to this point where he's like, I don't want to do it without my wife, but then does it anyhow.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, so our father died, and he's like, it'll go with the best of them. And then he's like, so I also unfortunately need one other person, and yeah, and if you guys can't make a decision, I'll make a decision for you.
So they lock them in the house, and the kids have to decide who the next body's gonna be.
Yeah.
And that just ensues chaos. They all start attacking each other, or they go after the drug addict kid, and then it just turns violent from there. Meanwhile, outside is Bob with Emily Hampshire's daughter, and they find Dawn, their mother, their stepmother, and don't tell them, and lets them continue on trying to kill one another. Well, long story short, one of them ends up dying, so they get a body. And then the end comes, and it's just like they try to kill Bob, and like the tables turn and they try to kill Bob now, and then like they try to negotiate with him, and then it just ends with them taking the two bodies and being on their way, and everybody's none the better. I don't know. It was a weird ending for me.
It was, and it kind of was anticlimactic. We both kind of said that. But it was a very unique plot, and it was something that I thought was very, in a way, I mean, a stretch, but not necessarily from real world stuff that is kind of scary, and we don't know what's going to happen in the future because we were dealing with a lot of the things that they talk about.
I expected it to be more violent. Coming from a Cronenberg,
yeah.
I expected the movie to be more violent than what it was, and more gory.
Yeah, but, I mean...
But it was still good.
No, it was. Plus, also, it's not... it's not surprising that she ended up having a slightly different style than they did. You can't predict that. Plus, I don't know what her other movies are being like. She might have just picked this movie, and then her next movie might be off the charts, so we don't really know. But I did like this movie. I felt kind of mixed on this movie. This is very neutral for me, kind of in the middle of my ranking so far. It's one where I feel like it had a lot of things about it that were a unique, kind of scary in theme. Something that could be very realistic, as a lot of people point out. But at the same time, or at least in a mindset way. But I think, though, that it could have been stronger. So...
Okay.
Anyhow.
Yeah.
But that was Humane.
I don't know if this movie is streaming anywhere, But I think you can rent it off of Amazon. But like and follow for more.
Like and more for more, and thank you very much. Take
Yeah.
care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.